Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode here on the Hermitcraft Mesa-fied server. Why are we in a mushroom biome? The reason why is because I need some brown mushrooms, and I didn't have any in my chest. Now, I could have asked another hermit for some help, but I decided actually I felt like flying through the sky, thousands of blocks away from the mesa, and coming out here to harvest some brown mushrooms myself. And I tell you what, we are thousands of blocks away, but it only took a couple of minutes to get here thanks to these wonderful firework rockets, which are absolutely amazing. One of the best additions we've had in ages. I feel like we keep saying that lately. And you know what? Some people are quite pessimistic about this game. I do see comments from time to time. Minecraft used to be so great back in the day, but now they've ruined it. I got to disagree. I think actually they've done a terrific job with the game because it's so much easier to play than it has ever been in the past. Easy to get around, easy to do all sorts of things now. Although we are struggling with a case of lots of items. However, the shulker boxes have helped tremendously with that. So I've been out here making sure that we've got some mushrooms. We can bring those back to our base and farm them with some bone meal. But the main thing that I'm after are mushroom blocks, which we're going to use in our nether wart farm. So I could have come over here and picked up one or two of them, but I thought I'd spend some time hanging out. And look at this thing right here. This isn't a natural one. This is one that I've spawned. That was a feature added a couple of updates ago. If you watch my 30 facts about Minecraft, I can't remember what my own video is called. You know the one, the secret changes in Minecraft. I actually covered that in one of those updates, and I've grown one here with a bone meal. But anyway, we're done with this place for now. I don't think there's anything else of value here. I picked up some mycelium if ever we want to make a farm with that. What we need to do right now is head back to our nether wart farm because I have got something really cool to show you with that. Yes, we managed to get flying there. I thought that the ping was going to be nasty and we were going to have trouble getting off the ground. Not today. It is a good day here on the server today. Man, I just built a miniature mob spawner over here. Stood around for a little bit while I was editing and came back. There were a couple of skellies on here. This is a nether wart farm and it's a different one to the one we built down there. And I'm going to keep the one that we have built because it will serve the purpose of giving us nether warts. But many of you so very helpfully commented on my video and tweeted at me some alternate designs, and I don't think I've quite sussed this out yet, but I will be doing a tutorial as many of you requested, and it will not be on the design over there. It will be on one that has been refined, and I love this over here. This is extremely cool. So some of you are pointing out that we could leave like an air block between the observer block and the dispenser, and I've tried it a couple of ways round, and this one seems to be the closest to what we need to do. We have a dispenser here facing downwards. We can climb upwards by jumping onto that ladder and walking up here, and you can see that this one is facing upwards, so it's waiting to detect something here and pass a signal down to the one below. Then we can walk round to the side and climb up here. If I put the ladder on that side of the block, ain't gonna happen. And then same thing up here, so we can sort of chain the signal down using the water blocks. If I press this button here, amazingness happens. The water spreads out. Some of you will probably say something about the nether wart popping off and falling down here, but I don't think that would actually happen because the water's going diagonal, so it would pull the nether warts away from that. So all of the drops would go to the edges. Very cool. Here's the problem. Here's where I've done something wrong and I haven't quite sussed it out. But for some reason that activates again, and I think it's because when the water is disappearing, this thing is constantly providing updates, right? It keeps changing the size of the water. In fact, we could probably test that quite easily. So what happens now? It turned on, but the pulse was long enough that the water kept extending outwards. Let's try putting this thing right in front of it. So now when it disappears, the water's going to come back again. It seems to be like a constant output. Maybe that's not what's happening. I need to look at this another way. Let's take the lamp away and let's watch that little thing itself. So we see it. It blinked several times. That's what I'm looking for. That is certainly what we're looking for. Okay, so is that a blinking output? Let's try that with something different. Okay, redstone repeater. Yep, it's blinking. That's what I needed to see. So that will certainly cause some problems. But I'll try and figure this one out, so when the tutorial comes out, it will have a decent design for you. What about the piston? Yep, that one blinks as well. Okay, so the redstone lamp seems to stay on for longer then. Okay, look at this. Do you see the lamp was on for longer than the redstone repeater lighted up for? but it looks a little bit inconsistent, and sometimes that repeater doesn't activate, like, just then. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I think this thing is going to be turned on for like 1 tick, and maybe the lamp is for 2, and so because of that, the lamp just ends up staying on. But that's just me doing some guessing. Alright then, let's get back on track. There are too many distractions readily available in this game. My mind starts wandering with all these other things. That nether wart farm, though, looks like it's got a lot of potential. What we're going to do now is place down some of these brown mushrooms, and I'm guessing many of you have probably figured out why we were grabbing some of those. They're going to be the aesthetic block that we use for the walls of our farm, and I am thinking I might go and chuck a couple of extra materials in here as well, so I'm going to rattle my brain, but what we will do is put down the brown mushroom like this, and then we're going to put some redstone lamps above it. So we're going to have a trim of this going all the way around. They will be lit up, and I need to get some more of them. But they're always going to be 1 block above where the soul sand is. So they're just a little bit higher. They provide some light, and then we put some more brown mushrooms above them. But this is where I'm thinking maybe it'd be good to have more than just one material at once. Well, I found another material that goes well with this one. You'll see what it is in a moment, because I've been working away and I run out of these brown mushroom blocks, and I'm thinking, boy oh boy, this is tedious and slow. How did I do this for so long earlier? I was having a chat with Rendog, and we were just nattering away, and I was doing this for like an hour or so, just no problem at all, and now I'm thinking this is too slow. So I have brought with me an anvil, and luckily we have 2 axes. We've got Spruce Willis and Kevin Baconator. This guy right here, though, doesn't have fortune on it, whereas this one does. So I think what we'll do is put Silk Touch on here. Please don't be more than 10 XP. Oh, it's 11! It has to be 1 more level, doesn't it? Oh, we've got to find some mobs to kill now. Aha, squids. They're not really worth a lot of XP, but maybe it won't take us a lot to get to the next level. Come on now. That was a tiny bit. I reckon if we kill another 10 of these, we'll have enough XP. Well, that didn't take too long. We got some ink sacks. That's no problem. Let's make sure we pick out the right one. Spruce Willis. There we go. Now with Silk Touch. That was the last use of that anvil. So now, this is going to take me no time at all, right? Instant mine. Here we come. There we go. Ooh, you have turned to dirt. You used to be mycelium, but I think that mushroom was on top of it for too long. Oh yeah, cool little fact for you, just in case you didn't know. You can't put mushrooms on top of dirt in these light levels. You can do that on top of mycelium, though, so that's why we've got one of these over here. I guess the first thing I should do is get rid of that block. I have discovered a quirk, but after discovering this quirk, I've kind of realised, actually, it's not. I'm going to mine this pillar with instant mine. And we go all the way straight down to the bottom and take full damage. So now we're going to do the same with soul sand. We can instant mine this as well, evidence of. Bam, there you go, we instantly mined it. So now we're going to face straight downwards, and we don't fall down, we land on each block. Can you figure out what's going on? Do you know? I know. I'm going to tell you, don't worry. So we are using efficiency 4, and it instant mines the block, right? The same way we can instant mine the mushroom over there. The thing is that you could probably instant mine it with something a lot lower than efficiency 5, which is what we're using over here. Please grow. I'm recording. Thank you very much. Usually it just takes like 1 bone meal. So what I'm guessing is that you can instant mine it while you're jumping too. So let's jump off of here like this. Aim to the side. Yep, there you go. So you can instant mine this one even when you're falling, and that's why what I showed you before happened. So yes, different blocks have different mining times, and some are really, really short. Anyway, check this out. I built it going all the way up to the top here. Crazy, crazy build. Took me a lot of time, but it is looking very cool. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. This is just a nice mix of colours going on here. If we pop down below, you will see the red nether brick, which looks really good, but I've got to say, out of position. I think these redstone lamps should have been 1 block lower, so when you look over to the side, you see brown, red, brown immediately without looking up. But it still gets the effect, and this is going to sound weird, but for some reason it makes me think of an ice cream sandwich. I don't know what's up with that. There isn't any white for, like, you know, regular ice cream colour, but maybe it's a raspberry ice cream sandwich. I don't know what I'm on about. It just comes to mind. Anyway, so that's going all the way down to the bottom, like all around. And now we've got 1 bit left to do. Can I make this jump? Yes, yes I can. I didn't fancy falling all the way. I didn't fancy falling all of the way down, and it's happened, hasn't it? Well, we're going to be Super Minecraft pros here, and tap spacebar. Go on! Go on! Yes, do that again! Yes! That was amazing! Sweet! Up into the sky we go. You can take off just by tapping spacebar. That is so cool. Right, now let's not fall down again this time. Let's do a little spin arounds. Take no damage. Awesome. Hi. And we will go down here. Yes, we will. Thank you very much. Right. So what I want to do up the top here in these corners is extend these brown blocks into this unused space. I've always sort of pictured there being a glass roof on top of this, and I think I want that roof to be up at the surface, and I think I want it to be a square as well, right? So what we're going to do is keep the square shape, and we're going to extend this out like so. Whoops, you were in the wrong place. Please come back. And yeah, just go across block by block. And then on the next row, what we'll do is put in some more slabs. And the slabs are just there to be a block to place the next one on, right? Like, technically, I don't need one there because we can place it against that wall. And that's the last block in this area. So let's take a step back. We can get an idea of what it will look like on each side. Yeah, not terribly great. I think that's going to look good from above looking down. And it ends up there with a couple of blocks to spare. So what we'll probably do is leave a gap, have some glass, and then you'd look at it from that height up there. Pretty cool. We also got to sort out these walls. I think the walls, I'm just going to dig them away, like go back by one block and make them flat and make them brown as well. Well, I had to stop myself there and say no. No more. This looks ugly. That bit there, it's kind of alright. This ain't working. I think what I'm just going to do is bring the hardened clay from behind forward a little bit and have it so there are some stripes going down. So we'll continue with the hardened clay and then the red, but after that we might go with brown as well, and then maybe black after that, and then red, brown. That'll kind of mix with this theme, right? That's the colour of the nether warts and the soul sand. So we'll change it up because this ain't working. Yes, that is looking fantastic. Maybe a little bit uniform, but I like that. I feel like it really suits what's going on. And we've got to chuck a couple of light sources in there because some mobs are spawning on the brown blocks. If you look, the nearest light source is all the way down there. So at night time, this place isn't lit up too well. But otherwise, I'm really happy with how that's turned out. And there are more things to be done. There's an entrance that needs to be built down here. There's a collection area for the bottom. I need to do some terraforming, lighting up this area, maybe transforming it a little bit. The list is growing, it really is, and I think I'd like to move on for now. We've worked on this for a fair bit, and I've got some ideas like rolling around in my head for some other projects we could investigate. So we're going to head back inside the base and do a little poking around with an idea that I've got. So when it comes to mushroom farming, bar building some crazy contraption full of pistons to push the blocks around, I really think it's just a simple case of thinking through the layout and making sure that you do things smart, because the first problem is that the tree is quite tall and harvesting it from down here can be a little bit tricky. Now I think this one is shorter than usual, so capping the height at which these grow is something to consider. But when they grow higher, having this little ledge around the outside here is actually quite convenient, and that was just a bit of a design accident because I was just digging this a little bit lower down so that the mushrooms could actually grow in here. So we're going to be harvesting these manually, but we're going to make the process just a little bit easier. I think capping off the height makes sense, and maybe just keeping what we've built right here kind of seems to work. You can walk around like this. Maybe we should automate the collection of items somehow, make something a little bit smarter than what I'm doing, because then you've got to walk around picking all of this up. So I just want to speed up the process, but keep it a manual farm where you do the chopping down. So I had this idea that we could put a dispenser with bone meal to automatically grow the mushrooms, but we also then want to push out the first block so that the mycelium doesn't get turned into dirt. So that would be a piston. And then I was thinking you could also have an observer block to detect things happening and changing. It may or may not be useful, but it seems to me like these blocks around the bottom here don't interrupt this thing at all. Maybe I've got to use quite a few bits of bone meal. First time I did that, it literally did it with the first press of bone meal. So those don't seem to interfere. And yes, we are using regular blocks, but I'm hoping the game will look at them the same way. So we should be able to automate some of this. I want us just to be able to place down a mushroom and then it be automatically grown and that block be pushed out so we don't have to worry about the mycelium. And then that would be, you know, some of the process automated a little bit. Okay, so we're going to need some sort of clock to activate our dispenser. There we go, that's not activating the one on the other side, the observer, and I'm wondering if there's a mushroom block here and it receives bone meal. Will each piece of bone meal update this thing? Because sometimes it grows in one, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. We might end up using like a redstone signal pointing into the block and passing it through. So that updated it, that'll be one update. That could be the one that then activates this. And lucky for us, it looks like the bone meal there being used on the mushroom didn't activate this until the block appeared. So it activated once when we put down a mushroom and once again when this cropped up. So that's kind of perfect. We can send a signal around to whatever's going to activate the bone meal, and then we send the second signal around to turn it off. And that one will also go here to the piston, right? And then just extend that for a second and push that block out. This should be relatively easy, I believe. I feel like I'm on a roll today. Is it me, or is this going to work immediately? No, it's not, is the answer. Let's pull that one back. Then that has to be there. Okay, so let's do this with a mushroom. That makes the most sense. Also, my bone meal's in here, right? Excellent. So, place it down. And it stops. Excellent. But now what we need to do is the one on the other side. And yes, I have to reset this manually now. So the piston on the other side needs to do something over here, which will only activate that on the second input. Today is certainly my day with redstone, although it's got me wondering, are these observer blocks just that useful that they make everything nice and easy? Because this has all come together very quickly. And this is the circuit that we need over here. So when this redstone block moves over to the other side, the repeater keeps this powered, and then the redstone powers the wire. But when it comes back, then it turns off for a short second while there's a delay from the repeater. So it only works on the second time. But the moving of the piston is also going to activate this thing as well, which is something I don't think I've really considered. And so maybe I've missed a little bit of the logic there. So we should expect this to fail. There's the mushrooms. I always seem to have a hard time locating those. We could get rid of this thing, by the way. That was just there to activate that when I was doing some testing. Okay, and here we go. Yes! Uh-oh! It was all going so smooth, wasn't it? I think it just worked first time. I did a test with a regular block. Let's do one with this. No. I got my hopes up too soon. So what I've gone and done, wow, this thing makes a racket, is added in another piston here. So when this one pulls the block away, I've moved away from pushing it across, because then the piston both extends and comes back again. So we get two pulses on this thing. The idea is that this block would retract, this one right here, and when the other update comes in from that piston, it is ignored because there is no longer a block here. It's just about getting the timing right. And that didn't seem to be very good. It's kind of precise timing, and it's kind of difficult to observe as well. So this time, well, I was about to say, actually, yeah, this might work. If we take the signal from this side, right, everything is sort of in its default position. So when we put this redstone block here, when we give it its first update, it is going to extend this out, so the bone meal bit is going to fire. This will then be powered. It's currently unpowered, though. But that will still get activated. Oh, that's a point. That thing will still get activated if there's a block there or not, right? Yes. So my logic might have been right, but that bit is incorrect. We've done a fair bit of redstoning this episode, haven't we? And truth is, I've done a lot more than you've seen. Had to edit a fair bit out because it took me quite a while to get my head around what was going on here. Well, actually, that's not true. I got my head around what was going on. I just couldn't get the timing quite right for the longest time, and finally I figured it out. So this little circuit at the back here is the key. This only activates once the tree has grown, and taking a signal from that with 2 ticks of delay going into this thing will disable our observer at just the right time. So this is not going to fire again when this piston pulls back the mushroom block. Let's see it in action. Actually, no, before we do that, there's something that I want to do. The mushroom that we just harvested while I was talking was at the perfect height, and I have seen quite a lot of... Do you know what? I don't want to use mushroom blocks to block this off. I've seen quite a lot of these things grow now, and they don't seem to be too fussy about what's above them. So we're going to put a bar like this across, and I'm hoping that means the mushroom will grow to a particular height, which might also mean it takes longer to grow, but we can see that in action. And it didn't work. What? This thing has been working just fine for ages. Does it have something to do with that up there? Are you kidding me? No way. This has worked like 10 times in a row with no problems. Wow. Wow, that is odd. I don't know what that means. Having that bar across the top stopped this thing from working. Like, I haven't changed the redstone. And it seems that after a couple of attempts to grow it, perhaps the mushroom block receives an update when it realizes that something above it is stopping it from growing. That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks if that's true. So let's do this one more time. Okay, just to make sure the redstone's all good. Yeah, it works flawlessly. That's what it's done every single time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, well, we could leave those there, but it might not be mushroom blocks that interfere with this. And if it's not mushroom blocks that interfere with this, that might be a good thing, because we could leave them there. Okay, and now our mycelium is gone. Here we go. And it stopped. Wow. So having blocks above sends some sort of update down to this thing. I reckon that block receives an update when it realizes that it can't grow at the height that it chooses to, which means we can't particularly force the height at which it will grow at, because it will grow, but we stop our little contraption before it's finished trying with the bone meal. In fact, let's put that to the test. Let's put a bar across the top here again. Let's disable this, activate this thing over here manually, like that, and it should go. Except it's not going to now, is it? It's not going to grow. Oh, I thought this was easy. Okay, the bar is one block higher. Maybe that's what you need. Ah, but this has grown to the height that I wanted. So with it up there, it grew quickly. I wonder if it will grow to that height and not interfere with our contraption. Look at this. We can mine the whole thing from standing just down here. That's got to mean something. So if this thing grows to the same height again, which it did. Fascinating. Isn't it fascinating how little things in this game work? Right, so now it's going to grow to that height every time by the looks of it. We need to do more tests to confirm that. So it's just a case of that needed to be one block higher. Maybe it couldn't grow at all, and that's the information that it got down below. In fact, we kind of just learned that because we used a load of bone meal trying to grow it with that bar one block lower. And yeah, then we can hop on here and collect everything just like that. So I've started to fill in the gaps around the edge here with some extra blocks, and I've seen this thing behaving the way it was a moment ago. Let's hope it does it again, because we might have to change up the entire redstone circuit. No, now it seems to be okay, and that's like the fourth one in a row, so I'm going to have to keep doing this until it fails. So let's say that there is a very low chance that it will fail. It's going to keep growing, but on the occasion that it does fail, we may end up with the redstone down here breaking, which is something that we don't want. Let's try it one more time. Come on now. We're actually willing it to break, and it did it on camera, so you can see the problem. Right, so now we've got that thing there, and it's stuck. We can replace it quickly like that and grow another one, which is something we don't really want to have to do. I've been conducting an experiment, but we'll come back to this in just a second, because the entire time we've been hanging out here, I've been hearing zombie noises, and I tracked them down to over here, and what is that? I know what it is, because actually somewhere in this area there is a monster spawner, which I'd completely forgotten about, and it's been lit up, but I can hear zombies hanging out somewhere around here. Aha, that guy must have followed me back round to the other side of the room. Hi! Bam, get out of here. He wouldn't have come from that zombie spawner itself though, right? He would have just spawned somewhere around here in the cave. Here's another one. Maybe they can actually spawn out here. There's a little bit of darkness, isn't there? And there's a creeper. Watch out for this fella. I feel like we should incorporate this mob spawner. Like, there's no real need for us to set up an XP farm or anything in our base, but maybe we could just do it for fun reasons, you know? And since I'm thinking about building a mushroom farm, maybe we can find a weird and wonderful way to combine the two together. So I have this theory that, unlike mycelium, podzol doesn't turn to dirt when you've got a block above it. I really need to check that properly, because you can plant a mushroom on the podzol just like you can in the mycelium in any light level, but if it's not going to change to dirt, then there is no need for us to have this piston thing. You know, part of me was tempted to edit a lot of that stuff out because we found our way to a much simpler circuit and a much easier way of doing things. But I think that process is interesting, and some things here have got to change. I think that's going to be one block lower, because now what we want to do is sort of fill in all of this space around here. Let's put blocks like that. I hope none of this interferes with this. So this area down here we will find ourselves dropping into to pick up any blocks that have fallen from down below. And then we need to think about how we're going to collect everything else around here, right? Yeah, definitely have to put on my thinking cap for that. But if we put a mushroom down here, you'll see that this thing will work just fine. Yes, that is getting activated, but don't worry about it. I think that's when the attempt to grow fails, it receives an update. And this circuit right here, by the way, we've got I believe it's a falling edge detector. So this only activates this piston when the power turns off. And you can hear the dispenser activating for a moment. And don't worry about it, by the way, when a dispenser is being used with bone meal into an empty space, it doesn't use any of the bone meal. It attempts to grow it, and if it can't, it doesn't use any. So this is what we're going to end up with. A hole in the ground, a block in the sky, and the ability to grow mushrooms, nice and easy. And if we're standing in this space here, we are able to harvest every single block, just like that. So I'm thinking water streams would probably be the best way to collect all of these. You could use hoppers, but water streams are less intensive on the server, and because we're going to stand in this little spot right here, it should be fairly easy to get the water to point to the center, so then all the blocks would drop into this space, and we can go around and pick it up. I am thinking though, maybe we'll put carpets on top of these two blocks, and maybe on top of all of this actually, so the occasional like one block will fall into there, but you can just jump in and jump back out again. Alright, moment of truth. Please don't disrupt the growth. Look at that, it grew first time. Cool, so we can stand on this little spot and pick almost everything up, you know. I think one block falling in that hole and you forgetting to pick it up ain't no problem with a farm like this. So water streams is going to work with this, no problems at all. Just by having 3 water sources there and one in the corner, you can manipulate it so it will cover all the area that the mushroom blocks would drop onto and deliver them to the center without flowing down onto here. So that's probably what we're going to end up doing. I am thinking, though, this is now a project for the next episode. I don't want to build it here. We'll probably end up building it somewhere else in this area because we're trying to finalize all of this and connect all the different things together. By the way, feedback on this area was really good, so I'm glad you like it. We've got room here. Maybe this is where the mushroom farm will lead to. But be sure to leave a comment down below. You know, 2 heads are better than 1 is the saying, although we're thousands of heads together. So if you've got any ideas for this mushroom farm, leave them down below. Then when we go to tackle this, we should be able to build a really solid and reliable design, which I think it's fair to say it kind of is right now, right? So it's going to be a decent farm. Do you like to play guessing games? Well, now is your chance. How many nether warts do you think we're going to get from this? Now, some of you will be clever. You'll stop the video, get out your calculators and do some maths, because you can probably figure out how many nether wart there is on this level, and there are 11 levels in total, and all of them, I believe, are fully grown, because I've been AFK here for quite a long time. So it is going to be our first harvest. Are you looking forward to it? I'm going to go press the button. We're going to watch all the drops pop off. In fact, how do we want to do that? We kind of want to look diagonally down there. And to be fair, a lot of the stuff probably won't render. Where's that button? Is it? Oh yeah, don't break the cobblestone. That's what I was telling myself. We might miss a little bit of this actually. So, moment of truth. Press the button. Run around. Come down here and look out the side. And bam, we see some of the nether warts dropping off. And I had some nether warts in my inventory. I didn't expect to be picking some of those up from here. Whoopsie me. I think I had 2 and a bit stacks, but now, oh, I don't know. I've messed up my own little test, haven't I? And some occasional bits land on the glass, so you do have to go across and pick these up manually. But it's really no bother. It's the only place you've got to look for them. I'm counting a total of 61 stacks of nether wart. Well, just under because of that one. 61 in total. Now, I think 3 or 4 of those were already in my inventory, so I apologise about that, messing up the guessing game there. But that is a lot of nether warts for one harvest, but some of those have to go back into the farm as well. So now I'm going to replant it, and we'll count how many of these we need to replant in total. 105 nether warts per layer. I have now successfully planted down 1,155 nether warts. It's a crazy big farm, right? And I love this top area here, by the way. It looks cool. Looks even cooler at night, though. But that is going to be it from me. This episode of Hermitcraft. Do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like on the video. And as always, thank you so much for your support. I do appreciate it. Yeah, so that's it. Leave a comment if you want to. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.